The wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered across the kitchen tiles. Crimson liquid blooming like blood under my bare feet. The sound was sharp, final, like the moment something inside me cracked. She stood across the counter, arms crossed, eyes burning. "I don't need your permission, Adam," she said, voice shaking. Though whether from anger or guilt, I couldn't tell. It wasn't the words that gutted me, it was the tone. The kind of tone that didn't sound defensive but liberated. The argument had started over something small, or so I thought. A dinner she'd forgotten to mention. A coworker she'd gotten close with. A late-night message that lit up her phone at 12:47 a.m. But it was the look in her eyes when she said his name that told me everything I didn't want to know. Ryan. I'd seen the messages by accident, or maybe because some part of me was already looking. A photo buried in her gallery. A text that said, "Last night felt right." My chest tightened just remembering it. But when I confronted her, she didn't cry, didn't even flinch. She just leaned back against the counter, took a slow breath and said it. "I don't need your permission." I walked out before she could see the tears. Outside, the air was damp with the smell of rain. I remember gripping my car door handle, my knuckles white. My heart pounded like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down into something I couldn't take back. I started the car and drove. First, I didn't know where I was going. Just away from her, from the house that still held our laughter in its walls, from the kitchen where she once kissed me while cooking pasta. Every corner of our life together suddenly felt like a lie. The city blurred past, neon lights, quiet streets, people who didn't know that my entire world had just collapsed. I pulled over near the river, parking under a flickering street lamp. The water below was black, still, and for a moment I envied its calm. That's when my phone buzzed. One call, then two, then three. By the fifth, I still hadn't answered. Her name flashed again and again, and each vibration made my heart twist harder. 23 missed calls before I even looked. I finally opened one of her messages. "Adam, please. Just come home. I need to explain. It's not what you think. Please, I'm scared." Scared? Of what? Losing me or losing control of the story? I sat there, staring at her words, wondering if love could die this fast, or if it had already been dead for months, and I just refused to bury it. The rain started to fall, slow at first, then harder, blurring the windshield. My reflection in the glass looked unfamiliar. Tired, older, hollowed out. I thought about how many times I'd ignored my instincts. The late nights at work. The new perfume she claimed was a sample. The quiet smiles when her phone lit up. Each moment I'd swallowed my doubts in the name of trust. I'd believed her when she said she just needed space. I'd believed her when she said I was paranoid. Now I couldn't tell if the ache in my chest was heartbreak or humiliation. My phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail. I hit play. Her voice was trembling. "Adam, something's wrong. Please answer. I didn't mean for it to happen. Ryan's here and..." Static. Then silence. I froze. The sound of her voice wasn't manipulative this time. It was terrified. I started the car and turned back toward home. Tires cutting through the rain-soaked streets. Every second felt longer than the last. My mind raced through possibilities. Had he hurt her? Was she pretending? Was this another ploy to make me feel guilty for leaving? By the time I reached the house, the rain had stopped. The porch light glowed dimly through the mist. Her car was still in the driveway, door slightly ajar. Inside, the air felt heavy, charged with something electric. "Lena," called out. No answer. I stepped into the living room. Her phone was on the floor, screen cracked, 23 missed calls still visible on my end. One wine glass on the table, another shattered beside it. The same red stain from earlier still streaked across the tiles. Only now it wasn't wine. "Lena." My voice broke this time. From the kitchen I heard a small sound, a whimper, a muffled cry. I followed it, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. She was there, sitting on the floor against the cabinets, hands trembling. Her eyes were wide, unfocused. "Adam," she whispered. I didn't know what to do. He came back. He wouldn't leave. "Ryan." Behind her, the back door was cracked open, rain pooling inside. A dark trail, mud, or maybe something darker, led toward the yard. I knelt beside her. She flinched. "Where is he?" She pointed outside. I followed the trail, every step heavy. The air smelled like wet soil and fear. The yard was silent except for the steady drip of water from the roof. Then I saw it. A figure slumped near the fence, motionless. Ryan. I couldn't tell if he was breathing. When I turned back to Lena, she was standing in the doorway, arms crossed again. But this time her defiance was gone. "He tried to stop me from calling you," she said softly. "Said you'd ruin everything. I just wanted him to leave." Her voice cracked. "He fell." I looked at her. At the woman I thought I knew, and realized I didn't believe a word. Not anymore. The police arrived an hour later. The yard was cordoned off, the house filled with flashing lights. Lena told her story calm and rehearsed. I gave mine detached and hollow. As they led her away for questioning, she turned back to me. "Adam, you have to believe me. I didn't mean for any of this." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But as I stood there, watching her disappear into the night, I remembered the words she'd thrown at me only hours earlier. "I don't need your permission." And now she didn't have it, my forgiveness, my love, my trust. The next morning, the police confirmed Ryan was gone before help arrived. An accident, they said. A fall. But deep down, I knew something about that night would never add up. Weeks later, I packed what was left of my life into boxes. The kitchen floor still bore faint stains that no amount of scrubbing could erase. Sometimes I still wake up to phantom vibrations. 23 missed calls that never stop ringing in my head. Her voice echoes through the silence, trembling with fear, begging me to come back. But I learned something that night. Love isn't what you feel when you're holding someone close. It's what remains when you've seen the worst in them and still decide whether you can stay. And for me, there was nothing left to stay for.